Something not many people talk about these days is just how to get started in visual effects, editing, 3D. All of these things are just something you get rolled into sometimes and you don't know where to begin. A lot of new people coming into the creative space, they're kind of having a hard time because there's so many tools, new things coming out every day, and now with all the AI stuff, people just don't know where to start these days. I'm Kevin, I'm a filmmaker, 3D and visual effects artist. I've personally been freelancing for a while now. I started out just making videos as a videographer, and then in late 2020 I started incorporating some visual effects and also 3D work. I see a lot of visual effects artists, and myself included, who use AI more and more into their work. But the problem is when you create 100% AI generated content, it kind of defeats the purpose of being an artist and being creative. And that brings me to the first phase of this video. Don't get lost into the AI hype. And I'm not gonna lie, I also used it for my own clients and work. And it's really fast and efficient when you want to show something to a client or make a storyboard or just use some references. AI can be a really good tool, but generating it 100% for the final output is just too far, in my opinion. If you just realize how AI video generators work, it's kind of crazy. It just takes all of the information from past movies, past projects, everything that has been created from humans. They just put it all in one place and then output literally slop. And that is something I, as an editor and VFX artist, I wanted to stay away from. I used it, I tried it, but I want to stay away from it because it's just anti-creative. And one other thing is the copyright. What is copyright even? They might just use my work to use it for their models. So how does that work? Now, my takeaway from this is for professional work, you should definitely learn AI, learn it as a tool, learn how it works. I don't know if any of you guys have used AI before, but when you create a prompt, it just generates whatever it wants. You can control it a little bit in your prompts, but still you have zero control over how the image looks, and you just can't create good imagery with control and precision like we have in visual effects and 3D. And it will stay like this for a while, and hopefully for always, because I don't want to live in a world where everything is just fake and not created by humans. I have a great analogy for this. Let's say you really love a band and you love all their albums, but let's say we place all those albums in an AI generator and it spits you out 10 different albums from the same artist, but it's all AI generated. Would you still enjoy listening to it? I wouldn't listen to it because it's AI generated and it just feels not good, it feels off. So one more thing and then we will move on to something else. AI, use it as a tool, use it for the boring stuff, for fill-in shots, for everything. You might think AI is helpful and useful, use it. I'm all for it, use it, but stay away from all the AI slop. We don't need this. We don't want it. And a lot of people feel the same way. I see all the comments. I know how people think about this, and most of the people, like say 90%, agrees with what I'm saying. So when you know how AI works and you also know the traditional VFX and editing techniques, it will set you apart and way ahead of everyone else that just press some buttons. And then we have phase 2, learning cinematography. That is something I see a lot in 3D and visual effects. The effects itself and the 3D might be good, but when the shot is not on point, then you will see that. I mean, the lighting, the framing, the cinematic aspect of it needs to be there. So that is why we need to learn basic cinematography skills to implement that in our 3D and VFX work. Always think, how would I frame this in real life? How would I light this in real life? And then use the same techniques in your 3D program. If it wouldn't work on a real camera, it probably is not gonna work in CGI as well. And then we have phase 3, create with intent. And this is the phase where most people will fail and quit. Let's say you open a program like DaVinci Resolve or Unreal Engine 5, you follow a few tutorials, and after you created something from the tutorial, that's it. It stops. You have nothing to work for. And that's because you have no goal or direction in mind. So you need something to create and work towards. The way you approach this is generally creating something that you find interesting. This could be anything like airplanes or cars, something you really like doing or creating. Then the second thing is staying consistent with it and keep going, keep grinding, never quit, just keep going until you achieved that one specific shot or one thing you wanted to create. And then the third thing is slowly building up your portfolio of all the things you created. And that brings us to phase 4, and that is sharing your work. To get noticed, grow faster and get opportunities is to share your work. I can't count enough how many times a client asked me for a project just because they saw something online which included my work. So now you have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all these social media channels. Instead of just watching it, just focus on creating something with it. So just posting your work. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just have to be visible to the masses. And if a client comes up to you and asks you about a project, you have your portfolio ready, you have different examples you can show to the client. I even had clients that were a fan of my work, so they wanted something similar, but for their business. If you don't want to do it alone and want to be surrounded by other editors and VFX artists, I highly recommend joining the VFX room. In there you will have exclusive tutorials and project breakdowns. You'll learn practical workflows you can use for professional work. It's both for beginner and advanced. If that sounds like something you need right now, check out the link in the description. Now I'm gonna give you some of my predictions of where the industry is headed. I wrote it down on my phone so it's a bit easier. So the first thing is AI will keep improving, but taste and control will matter much more. Artists who understand cinema and storytelling will stand out much more. Communities will be extremely valuable. Everyone wants to be part of a community because you interact with real people. When everything will be 90% AI bots and AI generated imagery, people will turn to communities that want to be involved in something that is real and creative. And if softwares like Unreal Engine 5 or Blender incorporate more AI stuff into their workflows, like for example implementing prompts to create 3D models or different textures, it will all become easier and faster to work with, but with the control of a real 3D artist. That's my prediction of where it's headed and the technology around it. That's gonna do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a lot of rambling and just sharing my thoughts, but I think it's valuable for new people coming into the industry. See you on the next one. Peace.